Hey everybody, it's Overlord here, back again with another video. Something I haven't really done on this channel before, but I have done it on the other channel. But for all intents and purposes, this is most likely going to be my main channel for a while, at least until I can hack into the old one. But that's besides the point. Just want to make this clear, I'm not doing this to get any sort of attention or anything. I mostly want a video talking about this particular individual on this channel in case it does wind up being my channel from now on, which most likely it will. But today we're going to be talking about Mr. Glenn Webb. Because 5 years ago today, the toy collecting / comic book collecting community lost Mr. Glenn Webb. A very sad day indeed. Luckily, though, he did not suffer. He simply passed in his sleep. I don't believe it was said what actually caused that. But to say the very least, gone much too soon. And Glenn Webb, I don't say this about a lot of people, particularly toy reviewers, action figure reviewers. But I looked up to Glenn Webb. He was, for me at least, a bit of an idol. And you know, T-Biz, shout out to T-Biz, is my buddy, my friend. We talk on the regular. Same with Mr. Vampire, Starner, Evil Villain, Sentry, my local buddy Rusty, or the local friend who shall not be named for privacy reasons even. But Glenn Webb was different. Glenn Webb, I looked up to him a lot. And I can't say that I would be the toy / action figure enthusiast I was today if it hadn't have been for Glenn Webb, who had, and I don't know if this is the right terminology, this charisma about him in his videos. You got hooked even if you weren't interested in whatever he was talking about. He just had a way with words, you know. He got you hooked, you stayed and watched the video, and you left happy. I can't say a lot of people do that nowadays. And there are very few people out there who are their own kind of persona here on the YouTubes. There are plenty of Pixel Dans and Shartimus Primes around. Kind of a dime a dozen at this point. But I don't think there is or ever will be another Glenn Webb. And that's not something I say about a lot of people. If I had to think off the top of my head 3 people who kind of have their own shtick, it would probably have to be Glenn Webb, Anthony's Customs, and Toy Galaxy. Which you could say Toy Galaxy is like a Pixel Dan, but he adds some pretty good comedy along with very insightful information in his videos, much like Glenn Webb did. Both very different people though, so it didn't feel like you were watching the same person over and over and over again. Even Anthony's Customs, his humor is subtle, but it's there. And the thing with both Glenn Webb and Anthony's Customs actually is they weren't only toy reviewers, or aren't only toy reviewers I should say. They're also customizers. And this goes back to when I was in college. My professor always said, if you are going to critique someone else's work, say sculpt and paint, you better have something that other people can critique, or even the person you're critiquing could take a look at and say a few things about. Which, let's be honest, action figure slash toy reviewers, most of them are not customizers. Some of them are, most of them aren't. So Glenn Webb and Anthony's Customs kind of have some street cred when it comes to being able to be a little bit more critical towards things in that regard. Much like myself, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I have had experience in writing and character design. So when I did my Masters of the Universe Revelation review a few weeks back now, I was a little bit more critical towards those things because that's the field I've worked in before. Worked, had experience, whatever you want to call it. Nothing big, of course. I am a college grad, but that doesn't mean squat nowadays if you really look at it. But I have had some experience in those fields, so I got that slight bit of street cred to where I can critique this and not just feel like I'm talking bad about something I don't like. That's the vibe I get from Glenn Webb and Anthony's Customs, actually, but Glenn Webb in particular, because not only did I respect him as a fellow toy collector, comic book enthusiast, and reviewer, I also respected him as an artist because he made some killer custom action figures in his day. One of my personal favorites is the Venom, the giant monster Venom he did using the Pit Build-A-Figure as a base, which not very cheap nowadays. But that was, as far as I'm concerned, a Glenn Webb original. I don't think anyone had ever done that before, and that's kind of what put him on the map as far as customizing goes. As far as I know. I could be wrong, but that Venom's kind of what blew him up. And that's still one of my favorite custom figures I've seen someone else make to this day. He did plenty of other awesome custom figures, like Krampus. Did a custom Krampus. He did some other symbiotes. A crazy symbiote queen. He did a Ghost Rider villain. Kind of a low-key Ghost Rider villain. The Griffin from Marvel Comics. Just did some amazing work. And luckily, all of that you can still watch. As far as I know, the channel is still up. I will leave a link to it in the description below so you can go and enjoy the awesomeness that is Glenn Webb. Because like I said, gone much too soon. I still miss him to this day. I miss watching his videos. Or watching new videos. And the funny thing, if that, about this whole situation is, before he passed, he put up his massive blind bag bonanza video, which ended in him literally being bludgeoned right down to the fake blood everywhere. So here's how it all went down. I got home from work around 6:30 p.m. August 16th, 2016. And as soon as I entered the house, the Wi-Fi kicked in and my iPod started blowing up. I got text through my iPod at the time because my phone then really wasn't worth a crap. My phone now really isn't worth a crap, but that's besides the point. But I got a text from who was my buddy then, Mr. Count Stankus. Not going to get into it. But he texted me saying, hey, Glenn Webb passed away. Automatically, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't believe it. A, because of the whole blind bag bonanza thing. I thought it was some kind of sick joke. Some morbid humor. Which, I'm not opposed to. I'm a pretty open guy when it comes to comedy and whatnot. And Glenn Webb wasn't the type of guy to pull punches either. You go back and watch some of his old videos, you'll see what I mean. But I look and there's all kinds of posts talking about him. And then the next day, a video was posted of a recent haul he had got in. But the difference is, it did not have a URL. That was kind of the thing that made me believe, alright, that just happened. And it just sucks, man. It really sucks. Because Glenn Webb, as far as I know, was a pretty healthy guy. Much like my buddy T-Biz, shout out to T-Biz, he walks to do his errands. He walks to the store to get what he needs, goes back home. Made videos about it even. I think he even jogged and all kinds of other stuff. So, to just see this, what I believe to be pretty healthy guy, just go like that was a pretty weak snap, but you get the point, was just shocking to me. And the other bummer is he was going to be in my neck of the woods that fall for New York Comic Con. I don't know if I would have gone so far as to go to New York Comic Con because I'm not good in crowded areas because of my vision and whatnot. It's just not my speed. If it's a small venue, that's one thing, but if it's a large venue like freaking New York City, that's probably not going to work. But I would have loved to have met the guy. It would have been really cool just to sit and talk to him, even for like 20 minutes. And I kicked myself for not having some kind of podcast platform to talk to other collectors sooner. It's kind of something I've been low-key working on. I gotta figure out all the streaming bugs and glitches before I can just start doing that. Especially with my vision the way it is now. It's not as good as it was when I started this channel. But I really wish I had gotten to just sit down with him one-on-one and talk to him for about like an hour just about collecting and stuff. Because it would be so cool just to see where it all started with someone like him. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen now. It'll most likely happen with some other collectors, but not him. And that sucks. The other thing is later, much later after his passing, I want to say maybe a month or so, his partner, because for those of you who don't know, Glenn Webb was gay, homosexual, whatever you want to call it. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Don't like anyone more or less because of that. Came out and showcased his collection, which he had stuff I didn't even know he had. Like, he had Masters of the Universe Classics all set up. I knew he was a fan of Masters of the Universe, but I didn't think he had, like, all that stuff. I'd never seen him do any videos on it, you know? But to see his collection set up the way it was in nice kind of glass cases was really cool to see. And it was nice of his partner, my apologies, I do not remember his name, but the video is still up. You can go check that out. But it was nice of his partner to do that for people who enjoyed watching Glenn Webb's content. Didn't have to do that at all. But just like Glenn Webb, he cared about what his fans wanted. And for the longest time, I can only assume anyways, the fans wanted to see this guy they've been watching for years' his collection, because a lot of people ask me about my collection. When am I going to do a collection video? And I hope to do that eventually, but I want to have this place in tip-top shape before I do that. I want to replace the carpet. I want to put in more shelves. I want to do this and that. It's just a rigmarole to get my collection where I want it to be at the moment. So that's going to be a while. But I can only imagine what kind of, I don't know, suggestions Glenn Webb got to do that. How many people were asking to see what he had. Because there's a massive difference between me and him, and it is the amount of people that chime in. Moving on from that, I remember Chartimus Prime actually had a discussion with Glenn Webb about starting a Patreon. And this is another reason I can respect Glenn Webb, because I'm not the biggest Patreon fan. I get it. The YouTube monetization game's kind of gone to in recent years. But I also don't depend on YouTube for income. If you did, then I guess that sucks. If you didn't, well, then there's really nothing to worry about. But Glenn Webb obviously was pretty well off and wasn't too worried about that type of thing. Therefore, he did not start a Patreon. If he did, I would see him doing just $1 tier. I don't really see him doing more than that. And I like plenty of YouTubers who have Patreons, like Toy Galaxy, Anthony's Customs. Going on from that, Toy Bro, I like watching his videos as well, but the fact that Glenn Webb didn't, I just kind of respect that a little more. And you know, people don't really ask to support the Patreon as much anymore, at least not that I've noticed. But again, I have to respect the fact that Glenn Webb didn't want to go that route, even though there was probably hundreds of thousands of people ready to back it. So with that being said, all I have to say is rest in peace, Glenn. We miss you. We're going to keep loving your content as long as it stays up. And before I sign off, I would like to give a brief moment of silence for Mr. Glenn Webb. And my thoughts are with his friends and family, as they've always been since the time of his passing. And until next time, I'm going to sign off the only way I know how in this case. Bye.